If I may?
Cindy, yeah?
Yeah, this is Cindy in Florida. Who determines whose heart is pure?
That's a collective judgment. Each person has to make that for themselves. Hopefully the biblical model is accurately reflected in the common law model, that serious controversies about those issues would require a jury and due process of law.
Well, that is my point. One of the problems that we find in this nation is many, many, many false gods determining the moral compass. There is only one God that can determine that. And unless we get back to Him and take all of His word into consideration, where does that leave us?
Right.
The Republican Party is a perfect example of how, the Republican Party can't even come to grips with each other. And then we're supposed to come to terms with the Democrat Party and come together all together when the Republican Party can't even do it.
Thank you. Very good. Yeah. Yeah, that's why they function by majority rule. They do pendulum swinging back and forth all the time. They don't develop a consensus amongst their own people about how God really wants this world to run.
Hello.
Yeah. So I think applying the principles that we're advocating here can cure those problems. But and especially the Republicans, they're the biggest Bible thumpers. They're way bigger Bible thumpers than the Democrats, and they should be looking at these biblical Torah law consensus building traditions. Common law has traditionally been considered a right-wing issue also. The Republicans should know this. I'm sure their lawyers, like Bill Barr, know about this stuff, but they're not doing it. And it's because their guilt is worse than the Democrats, because they know about these biblical common law traditions, and they're avoiding them. The Democrats can plead ignorance, and, it's probably true. They just don't know about it. But not amongst the Republicans that are doing this kind of municipal Roman Empire model of government.
Back to your statement, Charles. And while I agree with you that Barr and many of the other Republicans that are in leadership positions are like a huge problem that we face right at this moment is the Supreme Court justices that have just completely ignored the Constitution, which by the Constitution should cost them their jobs. But earlier you were talking about it needs to start at the grassroots level.
Yeah.
And this particular subject matter also. How are we supposed to come together when there are so many false gods dictating one-on-one? Well,
if I might, I believe I've got a clear picture of how that's supposed to happen. Each individual needs to seek out other people with whom he agrees or she agrees, so that you can develop your own community consensus. You don't have to be neighbors. We got modern technology now, but each of us need to be building community consensus with other people of like minds. That way, the disruptors, the devil worshippers that thrive off of chaos and confusion can't come in and jerk us off point anymore, because we've got our own community consensus that is stable in our belief system. Does that make sense?
Okay, sorry, I had muted myself. Somewhat, but it still leaves us in alerts right now. I yield.
Yeah, Cynthia, I hope we addressed your issues. It's going to be a continuing problem. Obviously, we're surrounded by purposefully engineered confusion and chaos. So it's going to be a lingering problem. But if we're diligent, go ahead.
No, I was just in agreement and said it was Satan's plan from the beginning.
Yeah. That's why it's important that we remain humble and prayerful, and we're sincere in trying to build well-reasoned consensus with our brothers and sisters here. And when we come to points of disagreement, it's a healthy thing to agree to disagree and put it on a back burner, so that as long as we're inclined to believe that their intentions are still good, we can continue working forward with them in areas where we might still be able to build consensus and that are also of value in saving our nation from the devil worshippers that are scheming to enslave us all.
Agree. I yield.
Thank you, Cindy.